said, it's our goal to make our music as reliable as a good friend.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you guys, what music when you were growing up was kind of like a nice, good friend for you, either in happy times and bad times? Who was your best friend?
Oh man, we grew up listening to a lot of classic rock, which was pretty awesome because our parents didn't want us listening to modern rock, which was kind of funny. And there was only a handful of Christian bands that we were into, so we listened to a lot of classic rock. So therefore, we spent a ton of time listening to the Beatles. Our mom and dad and our uncle really influenced us in that way. Also listened to like a ton of Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. So musically, they were our friends, and I think lyrically, you know, those bands write some lines and things that you can relate to. Certainly, you know, not like life stories or messages. But there were Christian bands that we were always inspired by. We used to listen to Earthsuit, Paul Meany's band before Mutant Math. We grew up listening to a ton of Switchfoot, and those guys have always been inspirational to us. And we just got to do a small tour with them. It was amazing. I was a big fan of Graham Train. But then we also listened to like a ton of like British rock. Like I remember like being some of the first kids that we knew to be into Coldplay or Travis or Remy Zero, bands like that. And it seemed like, you know, a few years later they got really popular, and you know, it was like really cool to be into them. But I definitely remember, you know, going to those guys' concerts and people not knowing like who they were when we told them who we were going to see, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. For you too, is that kind of the same list?
Yeah, for some reason, just always drawn to the British music. It seems like the level of quality there is like beyond of what you can find in the States and even other countries for some reason. You know, like you look at the Beatles catalog from start to finish, and there's just so many, not only hits, but just songs that you can't forget. You know what I mean? And even a band like U2, I mean, the fact that they're still making really great records blows my mind, you know? It's pretty inspiring.
It's true. You guys, I mean, I would say I've been listening to your music now for a little bit, and I love it. I say you're on par with all of those bands you've listed off.
Thanks.
So what you need is just to practice the British accent, and then you'd just be perfect.
All right.
You guys would be golden.
We need to practice our songs.
Like,
too.
practice the songs.
Practice your songs and practice your accent.
That would have been great if you were like, what you need is just to practice your songs.
Madonna did that for a while.
Just get better, and then you'll be great.
Madonna married Guy Ritchie, and then she came back and had like a British accent. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was kind of odd.
It was odd. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Madonna.
It was unfortunate.
And you guys managed to work with Aqualung for a couple of
Speaking of British people.
Speaking of British people, so you kind of just I think what I read was you guys kind of ran into each other and you were like, we love your music, you're hilarious, we'd love to work with you someday, and then it happened, right?
Yeah, we played a show with him in northern Kentucky with Sarah Bareilles, like right before she blew up with the Love Song. And we kind of made our way onto his bus and just kind of asked him, you know, about his record, Memory Man, and just told him we were big fans, you know, and asked him if he would mind listening to one song. So I think he came in and listened to Cottonmouth. And then a couple years later, we played South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, and he was staying in our hotel. We saw him in the lobby. And we kind of went up and reintroduced ourselves, gave him a copy of our record, and you know, said, hey, if you're interested at all in producing some songs from our second record, we would absolutely love that. So he said, I have been producing, and I would be interested. So we kind of followed up with him, and he moved his family from London to LA, and that very same week we came over and got to record 4 songs with him. Wow. And before that, we like went to his new home and like sat around a pool with him, much like this, with our feet, you know, dangling in the pool, and just kind of talked about our songs, which was really great because he's such a great song like writer and a craftsman. And he just kind of sat there and said, you know, here's what I want to do with this song, or here's what I like about this song, or here's who I think, you know, would have performed this song back in the 70s, you know? So like some really neat like insight in the music.
And then we tapped out the instruments on our legs.
Yeah,
like,
yes.
He was like, Ryan, do you have any ideas for parts? I was like, yeah, I think I play guitar part. It would go like this. Yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah,
we'll definitely lay that down.
Yeah.
Someday, we gonna